get to rewrite the notes. But the bell curve is something that we're definitely gonna, that's kind of where I want to get to as quick as possible. The bell curve, did I talk about the bell curve in the video? I'm not sure. But, and this bell curve could be really steep or really flat. It depends on the scenario, okay? I talked about mean, median, and mode and what they mean. Okay, what do they tell us? And then we talked about, the video would have gone through 2 different cities, Toronto and Winnipeg, and we figured out the MCTs, the measures of central tendencies, we call them, the mean, median, and mode. And we compared the 2 cities. We looked at the range, okay? Look at Winnipeg. Winnipeg has a range of 21 degrees, and Toronto is only 12 degrees, so there's more variety, more spread. There's a bigger spread. And we also talked about the standard deviation and how, look at this, if the range is high, so is your standard deviation compared to a data set that has a lower range, it will also have a lower standard deviation. So that's something that you definitely want to hone in on. I talk about standard deviation and the normal curve on page 3, according to this booklet. And I talk about how is everything related and how is everything connected. Okay, this is definitely something I know I probably said it on in your lesson as you watched it. I would have this on my study sheet to remind me, because I'm going to ask you questions. What does the standard deviation tell us in this case, right? And so if you have this, obviously you want to try to make it a lot smaller, but make sure you have something there to look at. Then we did a line plot. This is what I mean by a line plot for both of the cities. So we had Toronto and Winnipeg compared. And you can tell that Winnipeg, if you plot, every single point represents a data point, okay? Winnipeg is more spread out, as opposed to Toronto, it's a bit more clustered. Everything is closer together, okay? And more further apart, so that's something visually that lets you see how the range and the standard deviation are related, okay? Did I ask you to try some homework questions? No, your homework was to just write down the notes. Okay. So maybe I will give you a little bit of time to try page 6, just so before we take off. Is it page 6 in your booklet? I did make a slight change. Let me just check. Yeah, this is on page 6 for you. So what we're going to do here is the main idea here is to create a line plot down here. So I'm going to give you again, and here's where you get to ask your friends if you need a little bit of a hand. I want you to arrange the data set here. It represents the time spent traveling to work in minutes. Okay. So determine the mean, median, mode. What does the median tell us, right? Calculate the range and the standard deviation as well. And then create a line plot, label property, and talk about if there are any outliers. So right now, I basically want you to do everything you've done just a little while ago. Do this again, type this in, arrange it, find the mean, median, mode, as well as the standard deviation and the range. So everything we've done before, and then we want to create the line plot down there. That's very important, okay? So I'm going to give you some time to do everything up to C. If you're confident that you want to do D already without waiting for me, that's fine. But I'm going to do D with the class together. But I'm going to give you some time to do A, B, and C right now on your own one more time, okay? And you can talk to whoever is next to you as to what buttons to press to get this done about that. But let's get back to our notes here. So I went ahead and entered all these values, right? And note that there are, if you go to the very last one, there are 22 values. That's what you should have. So I'll just make a note here. N is equal to 22. which is, what is it in this case, do you think? 22 what? It's not minutes. It's number of days in this case. Because every single one of these, like ask yourself, what does every, because n represents the number of values, right, you've entered, not the minutes in this case. So it would be trips, right? You can call it maybe trips, not days, but it represents 22 trips that we've gathered information for. So we can do that if that helps you. All right, so yes, our mean, median, mode, all of that is going to be in minutes, but n in this case is 22 trips, okay, 22 data points. Arrange it, so let's go ahead and arrange it since I asked for it. There we go, that's done. I'm just going to go determine, let's do this in our notes, sort A, I put in L1, okay, because for you this is new. Determine the mean, median, mode, I will go ahead and do that. And so for B, I'll just answer here, the mean is 32.27 minutes. So that's the average traveling time. Okay, and then the median is given, it's 30 minutes. And I'll right away explain what it means, right? Half of the trips, right, lasted longer than 30 minutes, comma, while half lasted less than 30 minutes. Okay, something along those lines. You can use your own words, but that's in a sense what the median tells us. Okay, and the reason why we like the median is because it kind of doesn't care about the outliers. So let's say income, right? Are there people in Winnipeg that make millions of dollars? If you did your average, those millionaires, they would like inflate the average. So the mean would look like, oh, we're doing pretty good in this city income-wise. Versus the median doesn't care, it just takes all of your data set and kind of just finds that middle, right? So you know half of the people make more, half make less. Mode. Mode, I will figure out in a bit. I will do the standard deviation right away because while I'm at this, so I'm going to go C, standard deviation, right there, 19.53, right? If you do this correctly, 19.53 minutes. And the range, let's do that as well. So the max is 105 and the lowest is 3, so we'll figure that out. Range is max minus min, okay, so that's 105 minus 3, whatever happened to the 3-minute trip, what's going on there, 102 minutes is your range, okay, so standard deviation and range, and then I'll go to mode, I'll go to my L1, and mode is, I think, 45. I kind of scroll through the whole set quickly, and then I realize, oh, there's 2 45s there. And no other number repeats, I'm guessing. If you had another set of 2, then you'd have 2 modes in this case, okay? I hope you understand that. In this case, it's 45 minutes. There's your mean, median, and mode. I'll tell you already something to watch out for. If these are all very different, your data set is kind of like a little, something is off. It's usually an outlier, okay? So let's create our line plot. This is where you need to know it's going to be worth 2 marks, and I'm going to ask, so this is my line plot right here. Make sure you know how to do a line plot. It's actually not that difficult. You're going to have to come up with a scale, and this scale is based on your numbers, okay? So if you're doing income and it's tens of thousands of dollars, you're just gonna have to reflect that in here to make sure everything fits. One more thing, guys. I do look at the max and I do look at the min, okay? If the max is 20,000 and my lowest is 5,000, then I make sure I kind of have, you can start with 5,000, that's fine, and then go all the way up to 20,000. And you figure out some sort of consistent scale. Okay, so that's something that I would encourage you. Now, go to your L1 and have it sorted. If you have this sorted, it makes this so much easier. Okay, and if you watch the video, you know what I'm talking about. So what is my scale here? 5, 10, sorry, no, this is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So we're going up by 10, so that's good to know. So 3 would be right there. And then 12 would be right there. 16 would be just past the 15 mark. 19 is right there. 20 is right on the 20. Okay. And then you've got 23, a little off, 24, 25, and it's okay if it's not perfect. 28, 32, okay. 33 is right next to it. 34, 35, 36, 40 is right on the 40, of course. 43, 45. This is where you, when you double, I don't know if I talked about it in the video, you have a 45 there. This I would definitely notice if you don't have them stacked. So that's the two 45s right there. So you can actually label that already, that is our mode. Because you only have one that appears most often. Okay. Then it's 48 and 105. So here you jump all the way, this is 100. 105 would be somewhere over here. Another thing that you need to watch out for is the arrowhead. So I'll use a different color. If you want full marks, you wanna make sure you have arrowheads on both, because this number line just extends. Okay, and you will put down what is this? This is traveling time in minutes. It's just like when you graph, right? You label your axes and you tell me what units are in there. And you label your mean and, so mean, median, mode. So your median is 30. So this is right here, this is your median. And your standard deviation is 32.27, so it would be right about there. Okay, your mean is 32.27 minutes. Not miles, minutes. Okay. So for line plots, right, I look for scale, arrows, label. Okay, so you have to have your mean, your median, and your mode as part of it. So if you want to have a little reminder, I'll go line plot. How about after line plot, you just tell yourself to sort your data set. And maybe this is all you need right there for your study sheet entry, like a quick. And then you add more if you do an AC down the road and you feel like, you know what, it's not enough, I need a bit more. Then you add that. Okay? You add more info. But guess what? You do want to have your mean, median, and mode, right? You do want to, I will see, so I'm kind of thinking of your study sheet here when I do this. Okay? One variable stats will get you this. You know what? You need more. I think you should probably go L1, because some of you will forget. Come exam time, right? L1. It's a little tight, but that's all I would take up for line plots, because it does show up, but it's not all the time. Okay. E, are there any outliers? it stands out like a sore thumb, right? The 105 here. So yes, 105 minutes is a lot longer than the rest of the traveling times. So an outlier is when it's significantly different than the rest. Okay, so when you see a big gap between the highest and the outlier, or perhaps a big gap between the lowest and the outlier. And some of you might think that 3 is also an outlier. You could probably, but I think if you zoom out and look at all of this, 105 is definitely an outlier. Okay, so it's very. So what might the reason be for this? If you drive, something happens, you get into a car accident, or maybe you get a flat tire, or maybe it just stalls on you, right? So something happened, obviously. So we tend to want to kind of get rid of outliers because it skews our, I'll add that here to your notes. Outliers skews our mean, median, and mode. Okay. Not median. Sorry, it's Monday. Our mean and mode are often affected by it, especially the mean. I'm going to circle the mean. Mean is the most affected by. A mode is sometimes affected, but most likely not. All right. So I hope you got a sense now of what a line plot is. I'm going to ask you to write down a few things here, because it's time. Or maybe this will be part of your homework actually. Pages 7 and 8. So that's your first. I will write it down at the bottom of this. And I will explain it though, because I think it's important that you know what you're doing. I don't want you to just think, oh, page 7 to 8. I want you to actually know what I'm going to expect you to do there. And this is very, very much ACable, okay? If that's even a word. But in this case, I'm going to ask you to compare on page 7, brand X and brand Y. These are batteries, and we're collecting. A company probably collected the lifespan, like how long a battery lasts in years. Okay, car batteries perhaps. And I'm going to ask you to fill in this table for brand X and brand Y. Okay, so mean, median, mode, all of that. Listen carefully to this part, okay? Some of you might say, duh, like I know I obviously would do this, but I want you to start getting used to, when you're comparing, put this into L1 so I can get you started on this part. Put brand X into L1, okay? Keep it in there, and then put brand Y into L2. You do that because you might want to go back and check later on. Sorry, I was way off. I can actually tell you that you're going to have to compare 3, 4, 5 different brands sometimes. So having them all in different columns will kind of separate the data, and then when it's time to do your calculation, one variable stats, you just have to tell it which one am I using, right? If you're doing brand Y, what are you going to feed it? You're going to go second 2 to feed it L2, right? So then you're going to run this and figure out what the mean, median, and mode for brand Y would be. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Follow me here to page 8. On page 8, you're going to create a line plot for each brand. When we're comparing, I would like it to have the same min and max. Like your line, I would like it to be maybe in this case 0 would be fine to start at 0 and then you end at whatever the highest is. Okay, so have them both the same so you can kind of compare them side by side. And then I will ask you to describe each using the mean, range, and standard deviation. I'll post the key to that so you can actually go and check what I do there, and then which brand would you recommend, and what other factors would you consider to making a purchase. So it's not always the lifespan, it's also sometimes the price, sometimes it's the warranty, you name it, right? What else do I want to do here? You know what? What time is it? Yeah. I'm gonna make a change. Go to where you put down the homework, 7 to 8. I'm gonna make it 7 to 9, and you get started today. So I'll stop. I was gonna start frequency tables, but I think we're good for today. Just make sure you practice this, okay? Make sure you try it. You get comfortable with the calculator, because time is gonna be of essence here. Okay, so get started. I'll post the key. For now, I'm going to pause this. Can I just have 1 second? Then you can get page 9. Grab your booklets and go to 9 real quick, just so you know what you're supposed to do, right? I don't like you getting to a question and be like, I don't know, and I'm leaving it blank because Mr. Dixon's going to come to the rescue. I won't do them all, right? Page 9, watch this, right? You've got players, and so there are 5 players you're comparing. So guess what? Anna, right? You're going to put the scores for Anna. There are 10 games that we're comparing. L1, Patrice L2, Morgan L3, Paige L4, Star L5. Okay? You're going to put every player's scores into a different column, and then you're going to find the range, the mean, and the standard deviation for every single player. And then we're going to talk about them and compare them. Okay? So at the very least, find all of these and then see if you can answer these without looking at my key at first. And then you can look at the key if you're stuck. Okay? That's it. That's all I was going to say about that one.